At 0:01, gas flooded the chamber. The doors were welded shut. Cameras on. 5 political prisoners, all death row inmates, volunteered for freedom if they stayed awake for 30 days. No light, no sleep, just them, steel walls, and a stimulant mist pumped through the vents. The compound came from a classified lab in the Urals. It suppressed the sleep center, keeping the mind alert. Lab rats showed side effects: violence, cannibalism. The generals didn't care. Rats aren't people, they said. People endure. So we started, and we watched. The first 2 days were calm. The prisoners laughed, joked, shared life stories. One even sang. We watched from behind the glass. Vitals steady, no signs of drowsiness. The gas flow stayed constant. Night vision cams recorded everything. They looked too alert. Day 4, first deviation. One prisoner paced in circles, muttering nonsense. The others fell silent, eyes wide, unblinking, pupils dilated. Their bodies moved, but their faces looked hollow, like they'd forgotten how to be human. Still, we kept the gas running. By day 5, they stopped eating. One chewed off his fingernail and licked the blood. Another carved his belly open with a spoon. No scream. He just smiled into the lens. The general said, "They're waking up." Finally, no one spoke back. No one blinked. Day 6. Cameras go dark for 37 minutes. When video returns, one prisoner's dead, gutted like livestock, organs scattered. No signs of a fight. The others sit calmly. One whispers, "He got loud." Another nods. We made it quiet again. No emotion, just silence. We cut the gas. A scream erupts, not human. The remaining 4 bang the walls, begging, "Turn it back on. We'll wake up if you stop. We don't want to sleep. We're not us anymore." The general turns to me. "Seal the vents. Feed it back in." I hesitated. He didn't. When the gas returned, they smiled. Wide, unnatural smiles. One began peeling the skin from his arm like wrapping paper. Another stared into the camera and whispered, "We see you now." His voice sounded layered, like more than one person speaking at once. Medics demanded entry. The general refused. "They're adapting," he said. But we saw the vitals, spikes in heart rate, oxygen dropping, erratic brainwaves. They were dying, yet moving with impossible precision. One was scratching symbols into the floor. By day 8, 2 prisoners stopped speaking entirely. They just watched the wall. When one blinked, the other blinked too. Perfect sync. It wasn't sleep deprivation anymore. It was something else. Something behind their eyes had taken hold. Then came the incident. One prisoner suddenly stood and looked straight into the overhead mic. We were never supposed to stop. The gas is the tether. We remember the before now. The general leaned in. What before? The prisoner only smiled. Teeth red. At midnight, chamber temperature dropped 10 degrees. Frost on the inside of the glass. No mechanical failure found. One prisoner stood beneath the vent and whispered, "It's colder on the other side. You let it in." He reached up like greeting something. One technician had a seizure while watching the live feed. No prior history. Said he heard a voice humming through the static, his dead mother's lullaby. We pulled him from the console. He wouldn't stop crying. "They're not dreaming," he said. "We are." That night, the lights flickered. One prisoner pressed his bloodied hand to the camera. "You don't understand," he said. "We're the ones keeping it asleep. If we rest, it wakes up. You welded the wrong side shut." Then the audio feed cut to static. Day 10. One prisoner collapsed, but his eyes kept moving, rapidly, like REM sleep. The others screamed in sync. Not from fear, but rage. "He's slipping," one yelled. "Hold him here." They clawed at him, tore skin, flesh, anything to keep him conscious. We tried to intervene. The general refused again. "They know more than we do now," he said. "We observe." But I couldn't watch anymore. Their faces weren't human. Not angry, not afraid, just focused, like monks on the edge of revelation. At 2:17, a low-frequency hum began, untraceable source. It shook the monitors. Blood leaked from one prisoner's ears. Still, he smiled and whispered, "It's almost beneath the skin now. Soon it won't need us." Then he bit off his own tongue and swallowed. One technician vomited on the control panel. Another began praying in a language he didn't know. I felt something too, an itch in the back of my skull, a presence behind the observation glass. Nothing there, but the feeling wouldn't leave. By day 12, only 3 prisoners remained. Their flesh, rotting but alive. One had black veins snaking across his torso. He traced them with his fingers and said, "This is the map back." We asked where back was. He laughed, "Where the gas can't reach." An emergency vote was called. Half wanted to end it. Open the chamber, sedate them, stop the gas. The general slammed his fist. "No, we go to 30. That's the deal." I asked, "What if the deal wasn't with us?" He didn't answer, just stared at the screen. Then one prisoner carved into the wall using his nails. "IT breathes through US." That was the moment I knew we weren't running the experiment anymore. We were just the audience, and the show wasn't for us. It was for whatever was watching with us. Day 13. One prisoner started screaming at the corner of the chamber, yelling, "It's waking. Keep us awake, or it crawls in." The others joined, banging their heads against the wall, chanting the same phrase over and over like a ritual. We tried cutting audio. Didn't matter. We still heard it, through the walls, through the monitors, through our own heads. One doctor clawed at his ears until they bled. "It's in the silence," he sobbed. We gave it shape when we stopped the sound. The general finally agreed. Sedate them. But it was too late. As we pumped knockout gas into the chamber, the prisoners stopped moving. Not asleep, not dead, just still, eyes open, breathing shallow, watching the vent like it was a god. A minute passed, then two. No reaction. Suddenly, one whispered, "You killed the light. Now it knows." He grinned. It never needed all 5. Just an opening. Then the glass cracked. Not from outside pressure, from the inside. The room was sealed. Security scrambled. Weapons raised. The general yelled to vent the chamber. But the power cut, total blackout. Emergency lights flickered on, red and dim. Through the glass, we saw shapes moving, but not the prisoners. Something taller. Wrong. The door alarm blared. Locked. Then unlocked. Then locked again. Something inside the system. One prisoner walked to the camera and said, "You gave us a gift. We gave it a door." His voice wasn't his own anymore. Too deep. Too many layers. One final message was etched into the fogged glass from the inside. "Now you can't sleep either." We ran, but the facility was buried 40 feet underground, and the backup generator wasn't turning on. Whatever we let in wanted to stay. The emergency stairwell lights flickered like a dying pulse. We descended floor by floor, hearing the hum behind us, deeper now, like it had lungs. A tech whispered, "We're not escaping. We're being led." I didn't argue. I felt it too, like gravity pulling us backward. Security teams sent to the chamber stopped responding. No gunfire. No screams. Just silence. The hallway monitors showed flickers, movement outside the field of view. One frame caught it. Not a prisoner, not human. Something stretched and starving. We reached the lower exit. Sealed. Manual override failed. A soldier shot the lock. Nothing. The lights behind us shut off one by one. I heard footsteps, then breathing. Not rushed. Slow. Patient. Like whatever followed us had all the time in the world. Then a voice, wrong and echoing, whispered down the hall. We stayed awake. Now so will you. One guard dropped to his knees and begged for sleep. He passed out instantly and began convulsing. Eyes rolled back, mouth moving like he was speaking backwards. The general turned to me, shaking. This wasn't just science. It was contact. I didn't ask with what. We both knew. The gas didn't keep them awake. It kept something else dormant. Something ancient. And now it was learning how to move. In the final transmission from the control room, the last tech managed to send one file before the signal cut. A sound loop. 6 seconds long. Just static at first, then whispering layered beneath. Some heard their name. Others heard a scream. I've listened to it once. Only once. I haven't slept since. Not because I'm afraid. Because I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I hear it behind them. Waiting. The hum. The breathing. The promise. When you sleep, I speak through you. Day 15. Only 2 of us left in the lower level. Me and the general. We rigged the corridor with explosives, hoping to seal whatever it was. But he stopped me. If it's inside us now, walls won't matter. He was right. I could feel it gnawing at thought itself. One moment, we were alone. The next, the general raised his gun, aimed it at his own chest. I see it, he whispered. It's wearing my memories. He smiled and pulled the trigger. He didn't bleed. He just slumped, eyes open, like sleep finally claimed him. I tried the last radio line. Static. Then, click. A voice answered. Not military. Not Russian. It said, "They've made it through, haven't they?" I asked who it was. The line went dead. A second later, my nose bled. I looked at the wall. New symbols had appeared. I never carved them, but I knew what they meant. A countdown. 13 hours left. I searched the files for clues. In the logs, I found something never shown to staff. Day 0 footage before the chamber. 5 people already infected. Eyes pitch black. The experiment didn't create this. It invited it. We weren't testing gas. We were testing limits. How much self a human can lose before something else walks in. And they did. Through fractured minds. Through the hunger not to sleep. When I reviewed the logs again, my name was in them, but dated 3 days before I ever joined the project. Footage showed me standing beside the prisoners, whispering to them, smiling. My file said, Subject 6, unaware of recursion. Monitor closely. I don't know who I was before the experiment. I only know I haven't blinked in days. My reflection lags when I move. And last night, I found blood around my bed, circles drawn around where I slept. But I never remember lying down. Not anymore. I made it to the surface. Snow covered the exit hatch, but it opened like something was waiting. The facility behind me sank into silence. Not a collapse, a withdrawal, as if it had taken what it needed and was folding itself away. I wandered into a nearby village, barefoot and bleeding. Locals wouldn't speak. One old woman stared at me, crossed herself, and whispered. Another one made it out. I asked, another what? She just turned and walked into the woods. Back in Moscow, no one believed me. The program was erased. No records, no survivors, no facility on the map. They offered me a pension and silence. But in the final meeting, a man I'd never seen before handed me a folder with 2 words, "Stay awake." Inside were photos, black and white, of prisoners from the 1950s. One had my face, same scar under the eye, same broken tooth. Caption read, Cycle 3, subject retained host identity for 14 days. Reabsorption incomplete. I dropped the folder. It pulsed. That night, I heard footsteps in my apartment, but nothing on camera. The hallway lights flickered. Then a voice through the static radio. It's your turn again. I don't own a radio. I unplugged everything. Still, the whisper came, right next to my ear. I wrote this down hoping someone would believe me, but the writing looked strange. Bent, like the words want to spell something else. I looked away for a second, and one line rewrote itself. You are the experiment now. I never typed that. My eyes burn. My hands move when I sleep. The mirror doesn't match me anymore. If you found this post and you're reading it, check your clocks. If time skipped, if the silence hums, if your reflection takes too long to blink, don't sleep tonight. It's been 31 days. I should be dead, but something inside keeps pulsing, like a second heart. It beats loudest at 3:17 a.m., same time the gas first turned on. That's when the shadows move. Not across the walls, across me, from the inside out. Doctors say I'm healthy, but every scan shows faint static across my brain. One technician fainted after looking at the MRI. He said he saw someone staring back. Not me, something behind me. Like my skull was a window, not a shell. Last night, I dreamt in reverse. Time peeled backward. I saw the facility again, but older, cracked, overgrown. A voice echoed, "You're the last witness." I asked, witness to what? Then I saw myself, standing in the gas chamber, smiling. The worst part? I think I understand now. The gas didn't unlock madness. It peeled away the noise. Let something older speak through the gaps. Something waiting for silence. Waiting for minds cracked wide like doors in the dark. I've stopped fighting sleep, because that's when it shows me more. Maps, symbols, other subjects, other experiments, different places, different decades. All of them ended the same way. Silence, then a new voice, using old names. There's one phrase that keeps repeating, "We are the interval." I don't know what it means, but I think it's less a message and more a warning. Or maybe a countdown. Something you hear right before sleep pulls you under. I'm writing this from a motel 2 towns over. Don't know how I got here. The mirror has no reflection now, just static. And behind it, 5 figures watching. One of them is me, or was me. If you start hearing the hum, don't try to escape. Just stay awake.